Welcome to For Those About to Brawl, the MMA and boxing podcast from Manchester, England. This show is brought to you by the double team of Den and Chutney. The podcast will focus on all things combat, including reviews, previews, reviews, and everything in between. Chutney, that was pretty flawless for a second attempt. That was an intro. How are you doing today?
I was going to let you get away with that if you got it wrong. Yeah, I'm very well, thanks. How are you? You're looking sharp, then. You're really sharp.
We've had a bit of a haircut, razors in
one
Stretford.
One of us has been groomed recently, and the other one hasn't. Although I did get a beard kit with oil and a brush in it. It's because it got really itchy at night.
You're like,
so
next thing you'll be wearing deodorant, mate.
I don't know about that. No, I do wear deodorant. I'm not getting into this again.
What's it? Are you going to grow your hair?
I planned before lockdown start growing it, and unfortunately, I got it trimmed a bit then. Actually, looking at my Zoom picture now, I think I look great. To be honest, might be because I've got a helmet head because I've just been on a bike ride.
Oh, sounds interesting.
Because I'm a big time cyclist now.
You are, mate. Putting the miles in. Chris Boardman made me proud. You must be thirsty after your bike ride.
I am thirsty. Is there anything we can do about that?
I'm sure a show of our caliber would be able to provide you and the listeners and viewers with a beer of the week to quench the start of the week's thirst. What do you think?
What's this? Oh, thank you.
Oh, nice.
One of our producers just handed me this. It is Althea. Oh, sorry. What you got there, then?
I've just got thrown in by one of the sound producers over there, a little Pilsner from Cloudwater.
We can't really see that.
Can you not?
There you go.
Yeah,
nice. This is Althea, which is a pale ale by Galway Bay, from Galway, from west of Ireland. This is part of Beer 52, which is a monthly beer drop-off that you tell them what kind of beers you like. Basically just dark or light, though. And they just, they give you a few beers.
Are you a member?
I am a member, yeah. And they tend to send you pretty nice beers. I wasn't really too bothered. Thought maybe I'll knock it on the head. So I went on their website. And they basically say on there when you try and do it, first of all, you have to call them. Secondly, we're a really small company and start laying on it really thick like that.
Yeah, mate.
Oh, come on, guys. So I've not done it yet.
It took me about 9 months. It's literally. Then I lost like confidence to ring them because I thought just pull on the heartstrings so much. So I emailed them because the first time I rung, they didn't answer them. So I emailed them. Then they emailed me back with like this offer that was just too good to be true for the next month, and then just stayed with it. Yeah. So.
They did. When I clicked on something, that there was an offer. I can't remember exactly what it was. Like next month is cheaper or something, or you could go every 2 months. So I might do that every 2 months. Yeah. Because most of the beers are all right, and for the people who come round who aren't craft beer drinkers, you can give them like an all right lager from them and say, look, this is fancier than what you usually have, that kind of thing.
Convenient as well. Convenient.
But yeah, let's crack this open.
Let's do it.
I'm very thirsty. Yeah. I dropped it just before we started, so it's fizzing up quite a lot.
Who dropped it? One of your engineers?
One of the producers.
Yeah.
Who, of course, he's not here anymore.
I was going to say he'll have to dock his wages, but obviously you've went one step.
No, I will, but I will dock his wages. He's out of the door as well. Oh, look at that colour! Looks delicious.
Very nice. Cheers, mate.
Sorry, mate. Cheers. It is nice. It's all right.
So UFC 251 in the books.
Yeah.
After the big preview show we made last week with the a lot of interest from all our listeners and our viewers. What have you got going on?
Can you hear that?
You can now. I lost it again. Right. Have you got
hot on Fight Island. Yeah.
Have you got noise cancellation on?
Oh, maybe. All the crackers.
That's better.
That's
way better. Yeah.
I can hear it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not what I know. That's by Arrow, in case you're wondering. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. So first event at Fight Island on Yas Island in Abu Dhabi, man-made island. But UFC pulled it off, didn't they?
They certainly did. It was after one of the main event participants had to pull out. Gilbert, forgot his name.
Burns.
Gilbert Burns had to pull out. They replaced him quickly with Jorge Masvidal, who was waiting in the wings, and with 6 days' notice, got the event on.
It was quite a hotly anticipated main event because the two guys don't like each other. I think there's a lot more rivalry there than there was between Usman and Gilbert Burns. Masvidal was seen in the lead up to fight week eating pizza and being relatively laid back. Not sure that pizza helped him in the fight though.
I'm not sure anything that was said in that was true.
Do you not think?
Him eating pizza. So they showed a picture of him eating pizza on the private jet, wearing his was it Gucci dressing gown or whatever it is.
Out, yeah, house coat.
And I've got a Star Wars one that's better than that. And if you look closely, this pizza is half pepperoni and half like olives or something. So
Doc, you've been investigating the pizza picture.
Now, yeah. So something wasn't right. And he may say, yeah, I took someone else's because I'm so greedy and I'm so confident in my weight. But he was talking about being, was it 20 pounds over with a week to go? And made weight. So that was a blag. The 20 pounds over was a blag. The not training was exaggerated, I think.
Yeah, I think you could definitely tell he wasn't sharp. We should say Usman won by 5-round decision, unanimous decision across the boards. I'll have to think. I think I've lost our piece of paper with predictions, but I think I got that wrong. I thought he was going to finish him.
You've not got it?
I have. Maybe with all my paperwork around here, maybe, mate.
Okay, well, Usman points, I said. I know that much, but I'm not sure if I can remember all of them. But I certainly said this. I think we both said that, didn't we?
No, I didn't. I said Usman.
Oh, did you not?
I said Usman. Usman finished him in the 4th or 5th round. I put.
Oh, okay. You found it?
Yeah. So it wasn't the most interesting of fights. I think Masvidal was trying to lure Usman into a bit of a brawl and try and catch him. Masvidal's defensive wrestling was quite impressive, to be fair. He didn't get taken down too often. He did well against the cage, but he just couldn't really get Usman off him for any prolonged spell.
I think it's possibly in the first 9 takedown attempts from Usman, he only got 1. The first round, this card, certainly the main card, I had an idea of how every fight was going to go. And it did go as expected until the first round of the main event. I thought, okay, well, Usman's going to wrestle Masvidal, and it's going to be a pretty boring fight, really. Some technical, interesting parts. But it's going to be 5 rounds of wrestling. Then the first round went through, and Masvidal did look a bit sharp, but aggressive. Got some good shots in, and he thought, oh, actually, this might be an interesting fight. But then the next 4 rounds, he was wrestled, clinch. Really good clinch game from Usman. Really good. There
you go.
The way he kept on working in the clinch, constant working, whether it's foot stomps, shoulder strikes.
They were nasty, weren't they?
And we've heard so much about shoulder strikes since McGregor did them, and Bisping saying after that fight, saying, well, shoulder strikes are nothing. It's annoying and nothing more. I think Cerrone would disagree with that, because I think McGregor got at least one good one. And Usman, they were brutal, those. Yeah. But he was kneeing his thighs. He was hammer fisting his thighs. He was those body shots, those kind of uppercuts to the body in the clinch, constantly working. I remember, in fact, might have been Anik who said, I wonder if the referee will break them up here. Well, no, Usman's constantly working on him. But just because there's a clinch, just because it's wrestling and not stand-up barn burner. So it was very effective.
He was controlling, wasn't he? I think them foot stomps looked bloody painful, and he was just over and over again doing it. I was like, what? They're frustrating, and the shoulder strikes. There's something that the opponent's always got to think about, and they could lead to something else, and you could use them as a strike into another kind of position. So I think it was very impressive. He reminded me a lot of a middleweight GSP. That performance, the way he managed to control Masvidal for 5 rounds, really.
A middleweight GSP.
As in GSP, when he was reigning the welterweight division, it was more or less 5-round decisions every time, but he was never really touched, barring towards the end. And Masvidal just reminded me of a GSP type performance
later in his career.
Usman, I should say, yeah. Masvidal, I think you're right. I think he did well in the first round, and he did get a couple of good strikes off. I think the second round that his just gas tank started to run out, which is understandable if he hasn't been in a.
I don't agree with that. I don't think it was his gas tank. I think he had the vast majority of the fight camp. First of all, he had
he wasn't due to fight though, was he? So
no, but I've got a feeling that he kept himself in shape just in case, as he should. I
think there's a big difference, though, isn't it? Just training.
It's no coincidence that he made weight and while he had to have the towels on and stuff. I think there's a bit of a blag that he wasn't as ready. I think he would have been a bit better had he known for certain. But I think the result would have been the same, and we wouldn't be having a very different conversation to one we're having now.
So you're saying if there was, I don't know, 8-10 week lead up into the fight, it wouldn't be very different? You'd still.
Well, it wasn't so long ago that it was likely to be Masvidal fighting. Now, remember, he spent a lot of money on a camp already, bringing in wrestlers.
Who, Masvidal?
I can't. Yeah, he brought in some Oklahoma State wrestling coach or something.
But he never officially signed for the Usman fight, so.
No, but he was preparing for it. He looked in shape. He looked in shape.
I watched it in the beginning of the second round. His belly was just going in and out, and he looked fucked. Watch it back.
Right. Okay.
That's when
maybe. I
think that's just when the gas tank just really hit him. What do you think?
I was panicking that my Virgin box wouldn't have recorded it all after the week before.
Fucking hell! You can do something when it's a live event to add an extra hour to the recording.
Yeah, but I'm sure, as I do, you have that standard on the series link.
Well, I didn't last time, but this one I did. But we managed to have enough time. So thank you, BT Sport. How much of a hit has Masvidal's star rating taken after this loss?
Very little, I think. It's a win-win situation for him. If he loses, then he's taken the fight on 6 days. He's eating pizza on the way in. Everything that I think is a blag helps him to make sure that he gets the result that he wants. So my dog's just given me a measuring spoon. My wife won't be very happy about that.
It's not being protein.
If she's making me brownies. So I don't think at all, really. I was surprised by how disappointed people were that he lost. Like Usman's the bad guy, the boring fighter, and the Scarface guy, as is his shtick now.
It's not as interesting though, is it? His style isn't as interesting as Masvidal's highlight real knockouts that he's got on his resume.
No, I know. It really, watching that really made me think how much Ben Askren fucked it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure he really did anything wrong in that fight. It's just how it went. But had he had a chance to wrestle Masvidal, he'd be champion now probably, or he'd certainly be up there. Meanwhile, he's retired, getting away a hip operation.
Same with I know it's a while back, but same with Darren Till. He took Masvidal, he underestimated him, and I think he thought he was cruising to a nice decision and got clipped on the third round and got knocked out. You never know, because this could have been Till really pushing towards a title shot against Usman if he'd won that fight a year and a half ago.
Yeah, but I think Till's been found out since then about what kind of fighter he really is, and that he's not really in that league for me.
Oh,
anyway.
Well, we'll find out against Robert Whittaker. I think that's going to be quite telling in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll come on to that, but and the same goes for Masvidal. I think I don't think he's championship quality.
Do you know? So yeah,
I think he's very good. Don't get me wrong, he's very good, and he's so tough as well, which says a lot about his performances in the past. And I'm not saying that that's not a skill in itself, because of course to be tough you need to evade a lot of shots as well as take them.
He's really improved over the last couple of years, though, because I never thought he'd be able to.
Oh, I agree.
Stand his ground in a title fight, but I thought he did on a 6 days' notice, whether it was a full camp, half camp, or not. He still did well, I thought. And like you said, I think he's still in the title picture and still relevant, isn't he? Even with this loss,
he's still relevant, but as we said last time, the titles don't matter so much.
No,
he might have a Diaz fight, a McGregor fight,
which was quite interesting, because after the fight in the press conference, he said he wants to come after Usman and wants to have another shot at the title. I thought his interest now would be to get the money fights, McGregor's, the Diaz's, and just run his mouth.
Yeah, well, he got a lot of money for this one, didn't he?
Yeah, but I can't see him wanting to work his way back up and have two fights to get back to a contender spot. It'd be interesting.
No, how old is he? He can't be
36-ish. Young. Been around a fair.
35. Yeah, 36 in November.
Same age as us.
Yeah.
Young.
And so he's not young. I don't see him going for title anytime soon.
Probably not.
I don't even mean that as a criticism. I just don't think it's worth it for him. Why should he? He should be looking to make as much money as possible at the height of his career.
Yeah, throw him in with Diaz again. That would be good. With a baying crowd to watch, because I think that's the kind of fight that does need a crowd. I just think the atmosphere would be electric.
I certainly agree with that. How soon they can do that, I don't know. Just trying to look at the rankings now. There's Covington fight as well. I'd really like to see the Leon Edwards fight, but how much of a call there is for that, that's possibly not a headline. Certainly not on a pay-per-view. But other than that, there's not really much there. Diaz.
What would you do with the champion then? Would you throw him in against the guy he was originally scheduled to fight, or would you throw him in against someone such as Edwards, who's been on the scene for the past year as a number 1, number 2 contender?
Well, I'd like to see Leon Edwards. I've seen people call for Edwards and Burns, and then the winner of that fights Masvidal. Usman. I'm not sure. Do you know what kind of shape Usman is after that fight? I imagine not bad.
He didn't take much, did he? I think he got hit a few times in the first couple of rounds.
He might be able to turn it around reasonably quickly.
I'd like to see Burns versus Edwards. Get a true contender out of those two. Let Usman have a bit of time off, and then back end of the year, maybe start of the next year, have he fight the winner of Edwards and Burns, because Edwards, I think, is a bit of a victim of not being in the cage for a while, and his profile isn't as high as the Americans, because he doesn't really run his mouth, and he's a bit bland from a personality point of view, and also a bit of his style isn't that exciting. So I think he needs to have a platform to number 1 contender shot.
Well, they can certainly stick him on Fight Island soon enough, can't they?
Yeah, and Gilbert Burns will be ready to go within a week or two once he passes his COVID test.
Exactly. So, yeah. I imagine they're both ready to go.
That's the way I'd like him
Edwards
to go.
Is training. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd like him to see that. But yeah, it was a great fight. Usman. Well, when I say it was a great fight, it was a good fight. It was an interesting fight.
It was an interesting fight. I enjoyed watching it. To watch Usman and see how strong he is, how technically proficient he is. Someone who's the best at what they do. Even if it's tiddlywinks, if they're really good at it, then it's worth watching.
He's Mr. GSP. I think he's going to be around this division for a while, doing that to a lot of the best contenders.
Yeah, maybe. I know that. Two of the judges didn't give the first round to Masvidal, which I thought was strange.
Didn't give it to Masvidal.
Yeah, if I'm reading the scores right, because two of them got the 50-45, although I think one of them might have given a 10-8 round. I do want to talk about the judging on this card, because one judge in particular got points wrong for me, which were just really poor. On the all in the Usman fight, the Volkanovski fight, and the Namajunas fight. But anyway,
anything else you want to talk about the main event before we move on to the co-main?
No, thanks.
No, thank you. No, thank you. So in the featherweight division, Alexander Volkanovski was defending his championship belt versus the former champion Max Holloway, who he dethroned 6 or so months back. I think we were both expecting Max to come back, look strong, and outpoint Volkanovski. In the end, that didn't happen. Did we both have
Max on points?
Yeah. So Max lost via split decision, 47-48. Split decision across the three judges, so it doesn't really matter. But I think the consensus was that Volkanovski won the last 3 rounds, lost the first 2. I'm not sure if I support that decision, but I don't think it was a robbery. What's your views?
Yeah, similar. So it was the same judge who didn't give Masvidal the first round, who scored this one for Volkanovski, taking him over the edge to win the fight. I had Max fighting a much better fight this time, standing tall,
using those long limbs.
Yeah. Well, they've actually got similar reach.
And I'm not having that.
Between them or something.
I know they are. No, well, maybe in terms of their arms, but I think there's such a difference when the legs and Holloway, in terms of being able to use his legs as a defense mechanism as well as an attack. We've talked about
whether or not leg reach should be on the tail of the tape before, actually, on this show. And so he used his height well, because of course if you're punching down, it's easier than punching up. You get more power on it. He said no. I don't think anyone would argue that he won the first 2 rounds. Holloway
definitely. He rocked him and he dropped him.
Yeah. And like I say, no one would argue. But then it was the next 3. I certainly had Max winning the 3rd, arguably the 4th, and not the 5th. But I'm not sure so much happened in the 5th. Really, they were both very tired. There was, I think, maybe 2 takedowns, certainly one at the end from Volkanovski in the 5th round. Didn't do too much with it. I did feel like that was going to win him that round, unfortunately. But a takedown doesn't win you a round, or shouldn't even score you any points in the judge's eyes, or any credit. It should. It's what you do with it. Because it's not like you cause any damage or anything like that. You might make someone look a bit silly. But for me, it was while it was Volkanovski clearly in the first fight for me, it was Holloway clearly in the second fight for me. So I was disappointed with the judge's decision there. I felt that Holloway should have what would be a bit of a romantic comeback to get his belt back and seal his position in the Hall of Fame.
I thought he was great, especially in the first and second round. I've got some notes here that he rocked him hard with a right hand, and then he sort of took the piss out of him because he rocked Volkanovski, who looked a bit shaken, and then Holloway took the piss and then mimicked him. He did a couple of great spinning back kicks that looked like they hurt his midriff. I agree about the first 2 rounds, which I think is relatively obvious. I think the last 2 rounds I thought were Volkanovski's, probably for the reasons you said in terms of the takedowns. Granted, he didn't do a lot with it, but I think he just showed a bit more control. I think it all comes down to the 3rd round. I probably got some kind of bias towards Holloway because unconscious bias
as well, because he is a nice guy, isn't he?
Yeah. So I probably, if it was a tight round in the 3rd round, so I probably unconsciously put it in the books for Max. But I think, like we said right at the beginning, it wasn't a robbery. It's just these fucking immediate rematches after a champion's lost. I think I don't like them, because then if it happens again, he's totally lost in that division now. He just sat waiting to see if another contender can knock Volkanovski off.
There's an argument for a trilogy immediate.
Yeah, not for
which,
me.
I guess would be a first in that. Holloway's ranked in the lightweight rankings
For that fight against Dustin.
Yeah, he's only had one fight. He's 10th.
That's a bit weird.
Yeah. So who next for Volkanovski, would you say then?
I'll have to look at the rankings here.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a couple of options. Yeah, I've got a couple of options. There's a beats up there. Calvin Cater's just come off a win of Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah,
I think they're the main ones really. Our pal Arnold Allen's still on his win streak, isn't he? But he's number 12, so he's not getting.
I think Zabit's the man to because he's beat Qatar before, hasn't it? It was a close fight. Cater, I should say. It was a close fight, and Cater probably won the third round in that. But I'd go Zabit. It's probably going to be 6 months away though, because I think Volkanovski has had 10 rounds on the spin now, and he probably needs a bit of a rest. But yeah, I'd put Zabit in there with him. I think that would be a great fight.
You're not sure what to do with Max?
I'm not sure. Max is going to be sure what to do with himself.
Ideally, he's 28, I think.
Yeah, and he's taken the loss like a champ. Have you seen some of his comments?
He's great. Yeah, he's 28 years old. And if he was going to go to lightweight, I think he would have done it already, other than the one-off that we know about. But yeah, immediately after the fight, he releases a video selling his fight kit for charity, and also tweeting about people saying not to say it's a robbery, and giving presenting journalists that don't give them shit, because if they say it's not a robbery, and it wasn't a robbery, it was the wrong decision, and I think the vast majority of people think that it was a wrong decision, but it wasn't a robbery.
No, I agree. Yeah, very, very kind of noble from Holloway. I think ideally I'd want Max to go and just fight someone in the top 15, get a victory under the belt, because that's 3 fights on the spin he's lost now, isn't it? DP and twice versus.
Is it? There was nothing in between.
Not from memory.
Frankie Edgar. Edgar in after Dustin, but no, still a good point.
I think just getting a W in the win in the column, and go from there really, and see what happens with Zabit, because if Zabit beats Volkanovski, then that opens up an avenue to the championship again, and that's the way he should go. I don't fancy him going to the lightweight division. I think, like you said, he should have, if he's going to do that, he could have done it before. And I think the power showed against Poirier that there's probably it's not as easy as just putting an extra 10 pounds on and hoping everything will be okay.
Well, I have to say, I was really impressed with the way his game plan, how it changed. He made the adjustments required, and those first 2 rounds, it was very exciting to see how well he did.
It's really good as well when you hear that they've been training with their head coaches and stuff via Zoom classes, because of obviously all the restrictions that are going on. It's like,
if that was true, you believe everything,
mate. You're so cynical; it's untrue.
I don't believe anything they say.
They all turned up COVID-free, mate. That's a sign that they've been taking it relatively serious.
No, I can understand that. Yeah, I can understand that. Someone has dropped recently, haven't they? Figueiredo.
Yeah.
Davison Figueiredo. I think it's this weekend, isn't it?
He's been fighting Frankie Edgar, wasn't he?
No, Joseph Benavidez rematch for the
flyweight
title.
Oh.
Yeah, he popped for COVID. He has since had a negative test.
Right.
So they're basically just doing regular tests. So the fight is in doubt, but it's not out. It's not off yet.
Frankie Edgar's opponent's out. That's what I was getting mixed up with. Can't remember.
I didn't see that. Who's he supposed to? Yeah. Okay. So if you remember, when Henry Cejudo retired, quotation marks, there was a for the vacant title, it was Davison Figueiredo and Joseph Benavidez. Figueiredo didn't make weight, what, £5 off or something stupid? He was way off.
Pretty heavy. Yeah.
Beat Benavidez well, and so no one took the title because he couldn't, because he was overweight. So this is the rematch now, and he's popped for COVID. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's on. I was looking forward to it.
Did you, before we move on to the Aldo Peter Yan fight, did you see any of the promotional videos for propaganda videos for how they put Fight Island together?
No, didn't watch that.
There was like a 15-minute video,
Wow.
and half of it was
cheesy.
It wasn't so much cheesy, to be fair. It was more patting themselves on the back about how great they've been to set it all up, and that is undoubtedly the case. Fucking hell, I don't know how they've managed to do it. It's very.
Well, they've
impressive.
had the money. So we touched on this last time, and you said about the lack of audience, but when they go to these Middle Eastern oil-rich countries, those countries pay them so much to put those events on. That's why we see boxing in Saudi, for example. So they paid for all of the testing.
Oh yeah,
now,
yeah, but
don't get me wrong, still well organised.
Oh yeah, and the money's one issue, isn't it? But I think that it's more that it was such an impressive logistical type thing that they all did. But yeah, part of it. But then at the end, it was like, come and visit Abu Dhabi. It's great. So yeah, there is that.
And John Addett kept on saying it, didn't he?
Yeah, and fair enough.
Yeah, it's part of the deal, isn't it? It's part of the deal.
Yeah. Okay, then should we talk about Jose Aldo fighting in the bantamweight division for the title?
Yeah.
So he's fighting Peter Yan. The belt was up for grabs after Henry Cejudo retired. In like you said, Chutney with a bit of a wry smile, because you think you'd be seeing him probably within the next 12 months. I was waiting to see that smile then, mate. No, I'm not having it.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to see who in 12 months?
Henry Cejudo.
Oh, okay, right. Sorry.
Because he was the champion here and he's retired. If you just listen to your co-host, you'd be able to keep up with shit.
Yeah.
You're watching videos because I can see it shining in your face.
I'm not watching videos. They're watching cat videos. I'm having a look at Jose Aldo's fight record, because I was going to say, coming off 2 losses into this fight for fighting for the vacant bantamweight championship.
Yes.
And now it's 3 loss and spin.
Yep.
And in fact, you know what? Out of his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. Out of his last 9 fights, he has won 3.
All decent names.
3 out of 9.
He hasn't lost against any bums.
He's lost to good fighters and he's beaten good fighters.
And even one of those losses.
In fact, you reminded me of something that driving back from Birmingham today, I was working. I thought of a good thing to say, and I'm now going to say it in this podcast. You look at
say it out loud.
You look at it's endearing. You look at the main card tonight and the main events on it. In fact, not the main event, but everything underneath. You got Volkanovski, Holloway, and Peter Yan. All of those have been champion, and all of them had to beat Jose Aldo to get there. A total between the 3 of them of 4 times. In fact, that's not entirely true. Holloway took
he beat him twice, didn't he?
Aldo for the title, and then defended it afterwards. But you see my point. At the age of 33, and this is 33 in Aldo years, because he has had 36 fights, 35 fights, and regularly, in fact, for the last 10, more than 10 years, it's always been against the best of the best, whether it's in WEC or UFC.
Majority in title fights,
and some of them. Well, exactly, yeah. I'm just looking now. From Cub Swanson in 2009 onwards, their championship fights, until Volkanovski when he lost his fight, and then Moraes, the last one. So the point I'm making is that he's much more than a gatekeeper. To be the man, you've got to beat the man, and the man is Jose Aldo.
All right, Ric Flair.
I knew you wouldn't let that go.
Well,
Good line.
You got to think of a better closer than that when you're driving all the way up from Birmingham, mate. To beat the man, you got to beat the man. So anyway, he lost in the fifth.
Riding style, limousine riding. Yeah, fuck it then. Go on. Go on.
So he lost in the 5th round via TKO.
You lost in the 5th round.
5th round TKO. Peter Yan is now the new bantamweight champion. You were talking about how old Josie is, and he's 33, but obviously he's had more miles on the clock than a normal 33-year-old. He didn't look like that in the first 2 rounds, especially. I thought he looked really sharp.
He did. He looked sharp. He looked fit and healthy. He looked strong. The size of his back.
And it was noticeable the size difference, I thought.
And I guess he had such a great run at lightweight, featherweight, sorry, that maybe he never contemplated going for bantamweight. But maybe should have done so a long time ago because he
didn't need
to.
Great.
He looked very good. Looked very good
because
he's doing so well. Yeah.
He was doing really well in the first round. Then went for a takedown towards the end. I don't know whether to try and win the round, and got caught underneath Peter Yan. And I thought Yan was going to finish the fight with a body shot. Really looked like I thought he broke his ribs at first.
Oh yeah. Well, I spotted that actually, and the commentators didn't.
It took Bisping a while to notice that.
Bisping, by the way.
I'm not Bisping's biggest fan. I thought he was a bit too excitable on Saturday. I just thought his analysis wasn't. Hey,
that's their job.
No, but I'd like him to be a bit more grounded in terms of his analysis. He was probably more a bit all over the place in terms of hyperbole.
When it started, I was surprised. I knew that Cormier wasn't going to be there, but that's all I knew. And I was surprised that it was Bisping and Anik. Anik, relatively new to the game, although is very good. Bisping is what, third choice, fourth choice color commentator, really, isn't he?
Do you think so? He's on
Rogan,
pretty much.
Cormier, Cruz, and Bisping, I'd say.
I think Bisping's above Cruz. I think he's a bigger name in the States.
Maybe, but
whether he makes him better.
This is the biggest event of the year. This is usually is International Fight Week, if you remember, the Independence Day card that they have in Vegas.
Yeah,
and they always have at least 2 title fights on it, and so this and always have a 2-man box nowadays. He did okay, but I was a bit underwhelmed by that, especially when you don't have the crowd and stuff, and you need a bit more atmosphere. And I think a bit of Cormier adds that, doesn't it?
Yeah, Rogan must have put his foot down and said he's not going to Fight Island too much. The logistical nightmare in terms of being able to then isolate before and after.
He doesn't do abroad anymore.
No, but I'm sure there was talk about going to the Fight Island.
That's a good point, actually. That is a good point because he's with his podcast and everything else that he needs to be able to.
Because he did a live podcast streaming when the fights were on with Joey Diaz.
I had a quick listen of it today. Joey Diaz is a tosser.
Oh, he is tossable. I think he's funny.
He's not funny, and
he is funny.
Says some pretty ratty things, and I don't just mean the Me Too type stuff that came out recently. I think all of it really. Homophobic and whatever else. He's rough as toast, isn't he? He's come from
that's what I like about him.
Pretty tough background and well, anyway.
So what I got in my notes that it was a very tight fight, especially going into the 3rd and 4th round. I thought it was pretty.
It was tough to score, wasn't it?
I said it was pretty. I thought it was like 2-2 going into the 5th round, and that's when Yan took Aldo down and started to rain down punches on him. That fight should have been stopped a lot sooner, don't you think?
Oh, definitely. I'm not ignoring him. I really like this beer. It's got a bit of kind of mango-y stuff to it.
You need to get on Galway Bay.
It was Leon Robertson Robertson.
Roberts. Is it? Yeah.
Roberts. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, Aldo was. So Aldo was taking a good few punches. I thought, oh, this could stop now. And then Aldo turned or something, started protecting himself, and thought, oh, okay, fair enough. And this is a championship fight. Aldo's not been champion for a while. Probably his last opportunity to do so. So yeah, okay, give him a bit more time. But fucking hell, he was turtling up, pounding his head. Jan was pounding his head. It's like, stop it now. And it was Sunday morning when I was watching it. My wife comes in, like, wondering when everything's going to be over, and she sits with me for a couple of minutes. And sometimes she watches a bit of UFC with me. And this is what she saw. I was like, oh. And it's like when everyone says, oh, that's barbaric. I wouldn't watch that. And it doesn't help when, like, the bits they see are things like that. And that's poor refereeing. Poor refereeing. Aldo was a mess afterwards.
Very similar situation happened in my household, and always.
Oh, really?
And it just reminds me of usually when I'm caught watching WWE Network.
All right.
and it's like the conversation is, why'd you watch this? It's entertaining. It reminds me of my childhood. And then something will come on with, like, The Undertaker being buried alive, and it's like, shit.
I'm sure The Undertaker would get buried alive.
Well, he rises from the dead, mate.
Yeah, he got his own medicine now and again, didn't
he? Yeah, Yokozuna did him over. Anyway,
why would you watch? Why would you pay for WWE Network when all of that's available on YouTube?
Well, because all the pay-per-views aren't.
No, I mean, like, the old school.
It's not as easy to get hold of. You can't just get a hold of a pay-per-view from 1993 WCW versus NWO, can you?
I don't know, mate.
You can on network.
I watch bits. Don't get me wrong. I do watch bits.
Mate, you've got more wrestling t-shirts than I've ever had, including me as a 10-year-old. So don't you start.
And they don't fit me anymore. But it's not because I got them when I was a kid. Anyway,
Peter Yan
is
a strong. Well, let's talk about the champion first.
Fair enough. I'm on his record now. So he's one of these that you need to remember that not all the talent is in UFC. I mean, it is now, but we've only known Peter Yan for the last 2 years. That's seven fights in 2 years.
I know, machine.
And I saw an interview with him saying, if you told me when I started that within 3 years I'd be fighting for a title in the UFC, I wouldn't have believed you. But you have fought 7 times, to be fair to your son.
Yeah.
But before that, so 2 years ago, we'd never heard of him. A year and a half ago, we probably hadn't really heard of him. I remember when he beat Ishihara, but I just thought Ishihara was crap. But little did I know that Peter Yan was going to come destroy everyone else. And so he basically fought an ACB for a few years before that. And it's a good reminder that you watch UFC, you think you're seeing the best of the best, but it's just not true. There's plenty of talent elsewhere. I heard them talking about Patricio Freire today. Who's the Bellator bantamweight champion. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. And he's arguably the best in the world. Anyway, I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. You're going to throw Aljo in there against Peter Yan for the title next? Aljamain Sterling.
If I get that option, I certainly am. And I think Aljo will beat him. Aljamain Sterling is what Ben's talking about there. Who's
I think so.
Been on a good run. And yeah, I think he's the man to beat him.
I like him. I think there's a bit of friction between him and Dana because Dana hasn't really committed to him having the title next, even though they're winning his previous fight.
I don't
meant
get
to
that.
be a number one contender spot.
Yeah, because a lot of people were saying that should have been the title fight when he beat Corey Sandhagen, which was a great finish by him. Less than 90 seconds into the fight, and to say that he's not the man next, I mean that is ridiculous.
And I'm not sure if he said he's not the man. I think he just hasn't committed to it, which I think is a bit foolish. Throw him in there.
I guess there's Mirage. There's no one else.
No. Would you? What do you do with Jose? Does Jose go on a last hits parade and just fight big name fighters between middleweight, featherweight, lightweight? Get some money.
If he wants, if he has the money, maybe now's the time to call it a day.
He didn't look road worn though, did he? He was taking the shots up until the last couple of rounds, or the last round.
Tough as nails, though. He's tough as nails. He's from the favelas, isn't he? The King of Rio.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about Jose Aldo fights is watching the other fights when he runs into the crowd after winning. Especially, I think it was Mendes in Rio. I think that's right. And they loved him so much. That was such a great atmosphere there. I remember. I'm going to check on that it was Mendes in Rio. And
I was in Australia when that fight happened.
Oh, were you?
Watched it in a bar in the afternoon. It's like, okay, it's weird.
And he, the crowd was like a football crowd that we're more familiar with, and the commentators were stunned by it because it was one of the first fights in Brazil, if not the first, or first for a while maybe. Just the way he, the King of Rio, is top.
I think you wait.
So many people know him for getting. So many people know him for getting knocked out by Conor McGregor, because so many people know UFC because of Conor McGregor. But you're missing out on so much if you think that.
Hopefully, let him have a bit of time off. Let him have a bit of time off. Start of next year, if the world's a bit calmer place, get him fighting in Brazil and have these kind of marquee fights with the crowd can savour him for the last couple of years of his career and let him have some memorable moments in Brazil.
Yeah, well, he trains in Brazil, doesn't he?
Yeah,
and trains and lives in Brazil. So we were lucky to have him, really, with what's going on there. I mean, they're in a right state, COVID-wise.
Okay, then, unless there's anything else you want to say about Jose, we'll move on.
Nope.
God bless Jose. Rose Namajunas defeated Jessica Andrade in a split decision, which you might want to talk about the judges in the women's strawweight division, a rematch from almost 12 months ago, where Jessica Andrade beat Rose Namajunas. Rose exacted her revenge this weekend. Quite a good fight. Rose was technical first 2 rounds, and then a bit of a beatdown in a second. She probably lost that on all the judges' scorecards. What did you make of it?
Rewinding a little bit, who did we pick out of Jan and Aldo on our picks last episode?
Jan, both.
I think we both said stoppage, did we?
You said, I can't read me fucking reading. I think we both said stoppage. You said the third. I said the first.
Okay. So again, like I was saying before, I expected Rose to win this. I expected her to just outpoint Andrade, and that's exactly what she did. She, flagging towards the end, to be fair to Andrade, changed her game plan, knew that she had to be a bit more difficult to hit. She was coming out like Mike Tyson, her head movement, and she's got that build as well, like square body.
Yeah.
What, Mike Tyson, did you?
Yeah.
And she was doing well. I mean, it looked quite rhythmic and predictable the way she moved from side to side. But whenever those shots came in from Namajunas, she knew exactly what to do to get out of the way of them. And it worked. It was working pretty well. But Rose was still got that long jab out. It's a very good jab. Trevor Whitman, who we've not mentioned already, who is Kamaru Usman's trainer, has only been for this fight, actually, Kamaru Usman's trainer.
Recent.
Is Rose's long-term trainer. And the man's a genius. That he's famous for being, what's the lightweight interim champion called? Justin Gaethje, his trainer. And he designs his own gloves, makes his own gloves with a sewing machine, Trevor Whitman. Showed great performance from her. Did everything she had to do. Didn't get caught in clinches or in too much wrestling. and got the decision. Again, tough one to score. It was a tough one to score. I did have it for Rose, but I could see it the other way.
Really?
That's why it was split decision. Yeah, because while Rose hit her more times, Andrade's shots were so much heavier. It was the quality over the quantity.
I thought that was more the third round of shot. So I definitely think that in the third. I think first and second, I thought Rose was just a bit. I think she had more shots in terms of quality, quantity.
It was kind of similar to the Volkanovski Holloway fight in that.
Did you see the state of Rose's face at the end?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. We showed the power from Andrade. Had she got that shot, like the one big one, could have been very different. But she didn't. Credit to Rose.
I watched this early on Sunday morning. I think
where they winner, sorry.
Well, exactly. So that's what I was going to talk about. I was watching this early on Sunday morning. I got a bit confused after the end of the third round. I was expecting a fourth and fifth round. I was like,
"You're not the only one." I didn't, but I've seen other people saying that they expected it to be a 5-round fight, and any other day of the week it would have been, wouldn't it? Well, it would have been a headliner on anything else, wouldn't it? On this it was fourth in line, and a fight like that maybe deserves a 5-rounder.
You're going to throw her in versus the champion now? Yep.
I got Rose winning that. That on points.
Be interesting, but yeah, that'll be the next. That'll be the biggest fight in that division in the strawweight. And probably,
I think Joanna and Weili Zhang Weili were almost cancelled each other out, and then it was just flip a coin. I think they're very similar in that way, and we all know that Rose has got Joanna's number, Joanna. So I think that's her fight.
Technically,
get her belt back. It's a great division. What a division that is. Yeah, I know you're not a massive fan of the women's, but I imagine you can agree with me on that. That's a really good division.
The quality of the fights in the top 5 division and the top 5 in that division is very good. To be fair, I'll let you.
And you can't sleep on Tatiana Suarez, who's coming up through the ranks. And then there's class like Gadelia, Sparza, Waterson, Tisha Torres, Alexa Grasso. Some very good fighters in there. Angela Hill, Amanda Ribas, who we'll talk about next.
Yeah, Amanda Ribas kicked Paige Van Zandt out of the UFC. Probably her last fight we'll see in this organization for a while. She quite convincingly won that flyweight division match, submission armbar, I think, in the first round. Totally outclassed Paige. Paige just didn't. She was emotional getting into the cage. She looked like, I don't know if that was tears because she didn't want to get in there, but she didn't look like her heart was in it.
Do you think that emotion affected her performance?
I think there's a quality gap, and I think that just shown.
She looked like they found her on the street and brought her in to fight.
Do you think?
That's what I thought. She looked when Ribas came at her, she looked scared.
Yeah,
she
recoiled.
recoiled.
She just wanted out. Yeah, she just wants out.
She looked like people who have seen boxing for the first time, sparring for the first time, and they get hit. It's like, oh my god, and they're immediately on the back foot. And she was on the back foot from the bell.
Yeah, she didn't look like she wanted to be in there. I think there's probably other avenues of revenue she's going to be looking at down the line. So it's hard to judge Ribas on that performance. Yeah, probably not against the caliber of these women. I think she probably gets some easy paydays.
Well, but Bellator will look after her better. Dana threw
build a brand
because it was the last fight, didn't he?
Yeah, build a brand up, and so it's hard to judge Ribas on that performance, but you never know what will come of her in that flyweight division.
Well, she's bantamweight usually, I think.
Oh, is she? But just went into the flyweight division for that, right? Okay.
Sorry, I'm confused now. Yeah, she usually fights at lighter weight.
Right. Did you watch any of the prelim cards or the early prelims that are usually on the event? Your boy Volkanovski.
I think.
Did I say Volkanovski? Yeah,
Oezdemir. Sorry, Volkan Oezdemir. To be fair to you. So I think you're asking that for a particular reason. I put an accumulator on because like I said earlier, I felt this card was quite predictable in some ways. Certainly, the ways fights would go. So while I thought Holloway and Volkanovski would go generally how it went, I couldn't pick a winner. I thought it'd be very tight. And I did a accumulator. Who did I have on everything? Hold on. So I picked Usman to win. Got that. I picked Yan to win. Got that. Got Nami Yunus. Got that. Rebus. Got that. And then I watched the main card. And then I had recorded the prelims. So I went on that and found Usman getting knocked out cold by a guy that we were saying hasn't even got a Wikipedia page. He's been around the block. He was champion at Rising. I found out since.
Yeah. So he still hasn't got a Wikipedia page, though, mate. So he's a nobody.
He hasn't got a Wikipedia page. So I win in the end. Really, I win the moral victory. So I would have got a nice little payout on that. I found that I did win my last accumulator on UFC. I think I ticked the box by accident that if you get one wrong, you still get paid, but you get paid less.
Oh, right.
I got paid very little and just used the money on that, and then now I've lost it. The gambling's for mugs. It's a mugs game.
Mugs game, but you do it every event.
Bookies always win.
There was nothing else in the rest of the card really that shone. To be fair, there's a lot of decisions.
Awesome. Davy Grant.
Did you see that Davy Grant knockout? Though, to be fair, we're talking about.
I didn't, and I'm going to make sure I do. But
good.
I think my understanding is that he was losing and knocked him out in the third round. Is that right?
Yeah, he was losing. British guy. I think we mentioned him in the preview show. He's on Team Rousey in the Ultimate Fighter, and he knocked the lad out after losing the first 2 rounds. Nice little left hook.
Yeah, nice. I'll have to find that.
Were you impressed with the first Fight Island event?
It was good. It was good, yeah. Certainly the main card.
It went well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Just before we call it quits, we've got an event coming up this weekend with Calvin Cater versus Dan Igney. I don't even know who that guy is.
Ige.
It's not much of a card, this, to be fair, is it? Have you seen it?
No, and in fact, I talked about Calvin Cater earlier, and of course, he's got that fight this weekend. So that's arguably certainly a big contender fight. But yes, it's not a great card, but not terrible.
It's not. It is pretty terrible, mate. If you ever read.
Okay, let's have a look now.
Yeah.
Well, that main event's all right, and I'll certainly be watching that. Yeah,
we've got
Jimmy Rivera, Tim Elliott, old Molly McCann, the Scouser. It's all right.
They've got 2 events in quick succession. I think they've got that, and whether they can get either a stand-in or whether Figueroa can fight versus Benavidez. That's next Sunday. Is there anything else you want to call out to our listeners or viewers, Chutney?
Yeah, let's talk about boxing.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to lead you into.
All right. Sorry. Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about boxing, Liam? Chutney?
Should we talk about boxing?
Yes, please.
So, August 22nd, Sky Sports box office. So straight into a box office fight. I mean, there's other bits and pieces we can talk about. Dillian White and Alexander Povetkin. This is a pretty big fight in world heavyweight boxing. And it's building up. No, it's not. I guess Dillian White's pretty popular. He tends to be.
Yeah, he is, mate. I love him. I think he's top, but for fuck's sake, you have to pay 25 quid to see that as well as pay your monthly subscription.
We'll have to find some ratty pub to go into to watch that because it wouldn't be the same if it was a nice one.
Is it going to be in Eddie Hearn's back garden? Is that the one?
No, they've got it somewhere, and I can't remember what venue they're using for it. I'll keep looking and see if I can tell you by the end of the episode. But an exciting fight has been added to that, and that is Katie Taylor's rematch with Delphine Persoon.
Oh, that is a big...
If you remember, that was Katie Taylor's most controversial win in that the vast majority of people not only felt that Persoon won, but felt that it was really dodgy result and must have been some kind of corrupt judging going on. So you have to forgive me. I've got 2 dogs crawling on me now. They want to have a fight at my feet. I think that's a really good they're making that into a pretty good
gonna
card,
be-
actually,
it's-
to make it more worthy of box office.
It's going to be at Matchroom Fight Camp in Brentwood, so I think that's going to be built around Eddie Hearn's estate or wherever the Matchroom headquarters is. So
You know
it'd be worth
what?
going out to watch that.
Now you say that, I've seen they've got some big premises out in the countryside, and I've seen them build. I've seen the building on Twitter now. Now you mention.
Oh,
Other than that, Matchroom have got some other events lined up. 1st of August, we've got again, the Fight Camp at Brentwood, like you say. Ted Cheeseman and Sam Eggington. That's for the IBF International Super Welterweight title. James Tennyson's on that as well for the vacant British Lightweight Championship. So boxing is slowly coming back. Top Rank have put on a few events, I think, in New York, but it's just been nothing people, nothing fighters on there, and they haven't been received very well, I don't think. The problem is that boxers sort out their own deals, and if they're not getting gate, the big fighters, if they're not getting gate percentages, then they just don't want to know. It's not the same as the UFC, when UFC can make these deals and sort them out. It's when they have so much more of a personal stake in it, because they are, because they don't have an employer like Dana White. While Dana White will tell you that he's not their employer, he is. Of course, he is. They can't go anywhere else. They have to wear what he says. In fact, we could talk about that.
Oh well, yeah, of course, yeah. So UFC have announced their are they ending the Reebok deal early or not? But they've got a new apparel, an official apparel partner.
In fact, they're extending the Reebok deal, because Venom, who's the new partner, who's an old school MMA brand, are taking over. That Venom won't be ready by, I think it's New Year when the Reebok deal ends. So Reebok have been happy to extend it for another 4 months while Venom get their ass in gear. But Reebok will remain the shoe sponsor or something, footwear.
Venom don't make trainers or something.
I guess so, because it's mixed martial arts. Why do they need trainers at all? God, almost fucking off my computer then.
You shit yourself, mate. The Reebok move was seen to be a step into the mainstream. Venom is definitely pulling everything back into the underground. Bad Boy years.
I like it. Yeah. I was thinking about Bad Boy. Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to sign off to the listeners and viewers before we hit the road?
Hopefully next time we'll have more boxing to talk about, because I've missed it. It's great to have UFC back. It's great to have football back. We need to get boxing back as well.
Football.
I know there's some dodgy judging decisions this weekend, and we're all used to big mistakes being made on the sporting stage. I mean, I think Manchester City won their appeal today. It's, more dodginess going on there.
Really?
All these corrupt.
Do you believe that?
Do you believe that? Abu Dhabi, dodgy
European Court of Arbitration. You really believe that? You really believe that?
I'm sure that Court of Arbitration
won't be running out.
They won't be running out of petrol anytime soon.
You're better than that. You're better
free
than
petrol, free. Yeah.
You're even spitting and dribbling, and you're better than that. You should watch the clip with Gary Neville tonight. It comes across really well. Not as a bit of
what him talking about.
Yeah. Very level-headed. Yeah,
congratulations to Manchester City overturning their ban, and they can now play in European football despite having dodgy sponsorship deals.
Well, it was proven that it's not dodgy.
Well done proving it's not dodgy.
A man of your background shouldn't really be questioning the decision of the courts. But anyway, won't go into that, lawman.
Okay.
Anything else? Do you want to tell the listeners who played us in, who's played us out, and how to contact us?
Yeah. Secondhand guns. Thank you.
I thought you were going to forget that.
Yeah, I did forget for a second. You put it on me there. You wanted me to. Thanks for the intro and outro. Edited by me. You can find us at FTAB News on Twitter. You can find me at Chutney News on Twitter. You can find Den at Braemar Soldier. That's BRAEMAR Soldier. You can email us at ftabpod@hotmail.com. If you have anything you want to tell us about the podcast or questions or anything like that, please do let us know. Subscribe, share, spread the word about what we do.
Yeah.
If you like it. If you think it's rubbish, to keep it to yourself, please. But other than that, what do you think, Dan?
I think the only thing that's left to say is for those about to roll, we salute you.